If you have acrophobia, fear of heights, gypherophobia, fear of bridges, or hyalophobia, fear of glass, well then hang on. Adriana Diaz has scared up a story for you.
At the upper edge of this mighty waterfall is a small spot where some daredevils swim. It's known as the Devil's Pool.
This road is considered the most dangerous in the world in terms of deaths per mileage, claiming up to 200 lives per year.
You may think you're brave, but these 20 attractions are designed to make even the boldest feel fear. Each attraction is designed to make your heart race, your palms sweat, and your courage hit its breaking point. Let's see if you can handle it. Mount Huashan Plank Walk, China. What would it feel like if you're over a mile above sea level, stepping onto a narrow plank bolted into the side of a vertical mountain? Welcome to the Mount Huashan Plank Walk in China, where every step feels like a dare. This ancient path isn't just about thrill, it's steeped in history as an old Taoist pilgrimage route. Mount Huashan, one of China's 5 great mountains, was once trekked by monks seeking enlightenment. Today, it's trekked by adrenaline junkies seeking the ultimate thrill. What makes it terrifying? There are no handrails, just rusted chains to cling to and a dizzying drop below. The plank itself? It's barely a foot wide in some places, which means one wrong move and it's just you, gravity, and a very long drop. And don't even think about looking down. Oh, and if the plank walk itself wasn't nerve-wracking enough, you'll be squeezing past other adventurers going the opposite way. That's right, this path is two-way. So not only do you have to keep your balance, but you might find yourself pausing mid-plank to let someone pass. But for those brave enough to take the full trek, the payoff is a breathtaking panorama of misty peaks and rolling clouds. And yes, bragging rights for life. CN Tower Edgewalk, Canada. Now, if you're ready to leave solid ground completely behind, Toronto's CN Tower Edgewalk is calling your name. This isn't just a view from a skyscraper, it's a chance to walk on the edge of one of the tallest freestanding structures in the Western Hemisphere, towering at a jaw-dropping 1,815 feet. But don't worry, they only let you roam around the top 1,168 feet up. Once you step out, you're on a 5-foot-wide metal ledge that encircles the tower's main pod, with nothing below but the sprawling city skyline. Your mission? Not just to walk, but to actually lean out over the edge, hands-free, while suspended by a single harness. That's right, you're practically hovering over Toronto, defying every natural instinct to hold onto something solid. It's the kind of fear factor that makes even the bravest second-guess their life choices. Oh, and here's a wild fact. Every edgewalk lasts a full 30 minutes. That's half an hour of pure thrill and high-altitude heart palpitations. It's also certified by Guinness World Records as the world's highest full-circle, hands-free walk. And they've thought of everything. You're kitted out in a special jumpsuit, harnessed to an overhead rail, and led by expert guides who, somehow, make it look easy. The payoff? A panoramic view that lets you see up to 100 miles on a clear day. You can spot Niagara Falls, Lake Ontario, and, on the best days, even the misty outlines of New York State. So, you've leaned over the edge at dizzying heights, defying gravity and testing your nerves. But what if that thrill came with a twist, a flaw that vanishes beneath your feet? Brace yourself for the Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge in China, where every step is a leap of faith across the world's highest glass-bottomed bridge. Ready to face the void? Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge, China.
China's Zhangjiajie Grand Canyon Glass Bridge is the world's highest and longest at 1,400 feet wide. It's also the world's longest fashion runway.
This isn't just a bridge, it's a see-through runway perched nearly 1,000 feet in the air, spanning 1,410 feet across the Zhangjiajie Grand Canyon. This glass-bottomed bridge doesn't just let you see the drop, it dares you to stare right through it. Imagine walking out, taking that first step onto the glass, and looking down to see the canyon floor far, far below. Suddenly, every step feels like it might be your last. Built to hold up to 800 thrill-seekers at once, this bridge uses 99 panels of super strong glass. But here's the kicker, some sections crack underfoot as you walk. thanks to a clever and terrifying illusion added just for laughs or screams. And for the adrenaline junkies, there's even a bungee spot where you can jump off the bridge, plunging toward the canyon floor at speeds that will leave your stomach back on the platform. Sure, the views are stunning, endless green mountains, mist-shrouded peaks, but let's be real, you're here for the heart-stopping moments when you remember just how high up you are.
If you have acrophobia, fear of heights, japherophobia, fear of bridges, or hyalophobia, fear of glass, well then hang on. Adriana Diaz has scared up a story for you.
So, if heights make your palms sweat, this bridge will leave you questioning every life choice that led you here. If walking on glass didn't quite do it, how about hanging from it? In New Zealand, they've taken the thrill of heights to another level with the Sky Towers Skywalk, a full-circle outdoor walk at 630 feet above Auckland's bustling streets. Hold on tight, this one's not for the faint-hearted. Sky Tower Skywalk, Auckland, New Zealand. You're strapped into a harness, standing on a 4-foot wide platform with no handrails, circling the top of Auckland's tallest building. That's the Sky Tower Skywalk, where the only thing between you and a 600-foot drop is a single safety line. And here's the wild part, you're encouraged to let go, lean back, and just hang out, floating above the city skyline.
Mode push forward.
From up here, the views are unbeatable. The rolling green hills, sparkling harbour, and vibrant cityscape make for an incredible panorama. But are you really here to sightsee? Not likely. This is about testing your nerve, pushing yourself to the edge, literally, and daring yourself to lean as far back as your harness will allow. And if the lean back doesn't get your pulse pounding, try looking down to the street below. That's when it really hits you. Every step feels like a dance with gravity, and when the wind picks up, you'll feel every gust. Skywalk is about as close as you can get to free falling without actually jumping. Now, if dangling above the city wasn't enough, let's kick it up a notch. How about a glass bridge that's also an extreme coaster? Japan's Takabisha roller coaster redefines drop with a 121-degree plunge that will leave you questioning your life choices. Takabisha, Japan. When it comes to roller coasters, Takabisha at Fuji-Q Highland is in a league of its own.
The steepest in the world, that's how it's been described in the Guinness Book.
This isn't just a drop, it's the steepest drop in the world, a stomach-lurching 121 degrees. Just when you think it couldn't possibly go further, the track curves inward, sending you hurtling toward the ground faster than you can scream. It all starts innocently enough as you climb a 141-foot vertical track, the coaster cars inching up until you're nearly hanging upside down. And then, it releases. You plummet straight down at speeds up to 62 miles per hour, whipping through 7 mind-bending inversions, including loops, corkscrews, and a zero-gravity roll. By the end, you're not sure which way is up, or if your stomach is still in the same time zone. But if a steep dive didn't quite do the trick, how about rocketing straight up into the sky? Meet King Dakar, the US roller coaster that launches you to a mind-bending 456 feet at record-breaking speeds. Hang on, this one's about pure, raw power. King Dakar, USA. If roller coasters were monsters, King Dakar would be the beast that rules them all. Located at Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey, King Dakar is the tallest coaster in the world, towering at a staggering 456 feet, roughly the height of a 45-story building. But it's not just about height. This coaster rockets you from 0 to 128 miles per hour in just 3.5 seconds. That's faster than most supercars and about enough G-force to leave you gripping the seat with everything you've got. Here's how it goes down. You're launched out of the station, hitting top speed in seconds, and then shot up a vertical tower where you can see for miles, if you can keep your eyes open. And just as you think you're at the top, you'll whip down the other side in a twisting drop back to Earth. By the end of the 28-second ride, your heart's still catching up. One ride, and you'll know why it's the king of coasters. If speed and height have your pulse pounding, let's see if you can handle a little luxury at 149 miles per hour. Enter Formula Rossa in the UAE, the fastest roller coaster on the planet that's designed to make you feel like you're riding shotgun in an F1 car. Ready to hit the gas? Formula Rossa, UAE. Strap in tight. This is Formula Rossa at Ferrari World Abu Dhabi, where you'll experience the kind of speed usually reserved for racetracks.
That's because of the speed, probably, right? It's okay. We're gonna be all right.
At 149 miles per hour, this coaster launches you from 0 to its max speed in just 4.9 seconds, powered by the same hydraulic launch system used on aircraft carriers. Yes, you read that right. The track is 1.2 miles long, packed with steep curves and climbs that simulate the twists and turns of a real Formula One circuit. And here's a fun fact. You'll need to wear goggles on this ride because at these speeds, even the wind can feel like a high-speed obstacle. The view? Blurred at best, but let's face it, you're not here to take in the scenery. Next up, meet X-Scream, a roller coaster perched on the edge of a skyscraper where the thrill lies in staring straight down at the ground 866 feet below. X-Scream, Las Vegas, USA. This is no ordinary coaster. X-Scream sits on the edge of the iconic Stratosphere Tower in Las Vegas, nearly 900 feet above the ground. Think of it as a massive teeter-totter that launches you out over the strip, only to stop abruptly, leaving you hanging over the edge with nothing but a bird's eye view of the city below. The ride jerks forward and back, creating the terrifying sensation that you might just plummet off the edge at any moment. And because it's Vegas, X-Scream doesn't do subtle. Each time you're catapulted out over the void, your stomach is left somewhere behind you as the track tips, dips, and drops unpredictably. For those seconds you're dangling in mid-air, the strip and all of its lights look impossibly far down. Just when you think Vegas can't take it any higher, get ready for the big shot. A launch that blasts you 160 feet into the sky, on top of the Stratosphere Tower. The Big Shot, Las Vegas, USA. Perched on top of the Stratosphere Tower, the Big Shot catapults riders to a height of 1,081 feet above the Las Vegas Strip, making it one of the tallest thrill rides in the world. Here's how it works. You're seated and strapped in, then launched skyward at 45 miles per hour with a force of 4 Gs, roughly the same G-force as a fighter jet taking off. Your stomach might just end up in your throat. But here's the real twist. Once you're at the top, you experience a moment of weightlessness as you hover for a split second, suspended with nothing but open air around you. Then, just as quickly, you plunge back down, feeling the full impact of gravity as the ride drops, only to shoot you back up again. And with every up and down jolt, the view of the entire city stretching out below is the ultimate backdrop. It's an intense rush that turns even the most fearless into wide-eyed thrill seekers.
Yeah. Here we go.
If heights don't faze you, the Big Shot is here to change that. If you're still holding it together after being shot to the top of Vegas, let's crank up the chaos. How about a coaster with a record-breaking 14 loops? Buckle up for the Smiler, a mind-twisting ride in the UK that's designed to turn your brain inside out. The Smiler, Alton Towers, UK. Welcome to The Smiler at Alton Towers, a roller coaster famous for its relentless loops and twisted design. This beast holds the world record for the most inversions, 14 gut-wrenching twists, turns, and corkscrews, all packed into one intense ride.
Smiler roller coaster here. Now this has 14 turns through it. That's 3 more than any roller coaster in the world.
It's the kind of coaster that leaves even seasoned thrill seekers questioning reality by the time they roll back into the station. The experience starts with a 98-foot drop and launches into a sequence of relentless inversions, including dive loops, corkscrews, and a heartline roll that will leave you seeing stars. And just when you think it's over, the Smiler cranks it up again with synchronized strobe lights and disorienting sound effects to keep your senses in overdrive. It's not just a ride, it's a full-on assault on your equilibrium. By the end, you won't know which way is up, but one thing's for sure. The Smiler lives up to its name, leaving you laughing, screaming, and just a little dizzy. So, you've looped yourself silly, but what if we upped the stakes and took you soaring over a lake, suspended by only a giant swing? Meet the Sky Coaster in Orlando, a ride that combines the terror of freefall with the thrill of flight. Sky Coaster, Orlando, USA. Think bungee jumping meets skydiving. The Sky Coaster at Orlando's Fun Spot America is a 300-foot high swing that sends you free-falling head-first toward the ground before swooping you up into an arc at heart-pounding speeds. You're hoisted up slowly, giving you plenty of time to regret all your life choices before you're released. plunging toward the earth in a drop that's equal parts terror and exhilaration. The best, or maybe the worst part, you control the release. Once you reach the peak, you have to pull the ripcord yourself, sending you and your friends plummeting down at speeds up to 85 miles per hour.
To this tower right here, and then you pull a ripcord and you go swinging out over top of the rides here, and then back.
As you swing back and forth over a lake, the ground rushes up to meet you with each dip, adding to the thrill, and every pass feels like you're defying gravity all over again. So, you've tackled free-fall thrills and heart-pounding loops. This ride isn't for the faint of heart. It's a high-stakes swing that delivers one of the wildest thrills you can find. So if you've ever dreamed of soaring like a human slingshot, Sky Coaster is your ticket to a few seconds of unforgettable free fall. So, you've tackled free-fall thrills and heart-pounding loops. But what about facing terror in the flesh? Get ready for McCamey Manor, an extreme haunt in the US that goes way beyond the typical haunted house. This isn't just scary, it's a psychological endurance test. Think you've got what it takes? McCamey Manor, USA. McCamey Manor isn't your typical haunted attraction. Known as the most extreme haunted house in the world, it's designed to push you to your absolute mental and physical limits.
McCamey Manor must sign a 40-page waiver stating that they're aware of the extreme psychological and physical torture.
Located in Tennessee, this immersive experience requires participants to sign a 40-page waiver, pass a physical exam, and endure hours of mind games, physical challenges, and intense psychological horror. Yep, this haunt is no joke. Once inside, there's no turning back. The experience can last up to 10 hours, with each minute testing your endurance as the Manor's actors, who act more like tormentors, put you through a customized horror experience. We're talking confinement, simulated drowning, and relentless jump scares, all with the goal of pushing you past every comfort zone. And here's the kicker. No one has ever made it through to the end. McCamey Manor isn't about cheap thrills or creepy costumes. It's about confronting the darkest parts of yourself. It's raw, it's relentless, and it's absolutely terrifying. This isn't an attraction you just walk away from, it's one that stays with you. If you thought psychological horror was intense, let's descend into something darker, underground, where real-life horror and history blend in eerie silence. Get ready for the Catacombs of Paris, a labyrinth of bones and shadows that feels like stepping into another world. The Catacombs of Paris, France. Beneath the romantic streets of Paris lies a hidden underworld that's anything but charming. The Catacombs of Paris stretch for over 200 miles, with miles of tunnels stacked floor to ceiling with human skulls and bones. Originally created as a solution to the city's overflowing cemeteries in the 18th century, these tunnels are now a haunting maze where the remains of more than 6 million people lie in eerie silence.
Thigh bones stacked up in places. You'll have skulls stacked in other places.
As you descend into the catacombs, the air cools and a strange stillness settles around you. Every corner reveals walls of meticulously arranged bones, and each step echoes in the darkness. Tourists are only allowed access to a small section of the tunnels, but urban explorers have been known to venture deeper, finding hidden chambers and passageways that lead to forgotten parts of this underground necropolis. There's a reason the catacombs are considered one of the most haunted places in the world. People report hearing whispers, feeling sudden chills, and even seeing ghostly figures lurking in the shadows. It's a place that's beautiful, tragic, and deeply unsettling. If you're brave enough to walk these halls, just remember, you're never alone. If you thought wandering among bones was chilling, try entering a place where the hauntings are rumored to be far more interactive. Welcome to Penhurst Asylum, an abandoned mental hospital in the US that's said to be one of the most haunted locations in the country. Penhurst Asylum, USA. Nestled in the woods of Spring City, Pennsylvania, Penhurst Asylum isn't just a haunted attraction, it's a former mental institution with a tragic and disturbing past. Opened in 1908, the asylum housed thousands of patients under nightmarish conditions until it was finally shut down in 1987. Today, it's a hotspot for paranormal investigators, thrill seekers, and anyone daring enough to walk its eerie halls.
Frightened at haunted houses all over our area.
And one of the most elaborate is the popular Penhurst Asylum in Chester County.
Exploring Penhurst is like stepping into a forgotten horror story. The peeling paint, crumbling walls, and old patient rooms create a chilling atmosphere, but it's the stories of strange occurrences that really put you on edge. Visitors report hearing disembodied voices, seeing shadowy figures darting through the halls, and even feeling cold touches on their shoulders. Ghostly whispers echo from empty rooms, and some say you can still hear the faint sounds of sobbing from the abandoned dormitories. The asylum now hosts a haunted attraction where actors bring Pennhurst's dark history to life. But for the bravest, the real terror is found on the ghost hunts, where visitors can roam the dark, empty corridors armed only with flashlights and nerve. Pennhurst Asylum is more than just a haunted house. It's a place where the past and the paranormal collide in a way that's as unsettling as it is unforgettable. So, you felt the chill of a haunted asylum. But what if the hauntings came with a little medieval torture and twisted history? Welcome to the London Dungeon, where you're thrown into the darkest corners of England's past, face to face with its most notorious villains. The London Dungeon, UK. The London Dungeon isn't your average haunted house, it's a living, breathing history lesson in horror. Located in the heart of London, this immersive attraction transports you through centuries of gruesome events, from the Black Plague to Jack the Ripper's brutal murders. Through a mix of live actors, realistic sets, and spine-chilling special effects, you're plunged into a world where the horrors of history come to life. Your journey begins in the dank labyrinth of London's streets, where actors in period costumes and convincing grime lead you from scene to terrifying scene. You'll encounter torture chambers filled with ancient devices, meet plague doctors, and witness the Great Fire of London. And don't get too comfortable. There's always a jump scare waiting around the next dark corner. One of the highlights? An encounter with the infamous Sweeney Todd, where the smell of meat pies fills the air, making you question just what's really in them. And just when you think you've escaped, you're plunged into a dark, watery ride that drops you down into the river of the dungeon itself. So, you've braved the dark alleys of London's past, but what if we take you to the very edge of nature's fury? At the Devil's Pool, you'll be standing right at the brink of Victoria Falls, where one wrong step could plunge you into the depths of a deadly waterfall. The London Dungeon doesn't just tell you about history, it makes you feel it in every unsettling detail. If you're ready for a mix of scares, history, and dark humor, this dungeon promises a journey you won't forget, no matter how hard you try. Devil's Pool at Victoria Falls, Zambia, Zimbabwe. Imagine floating at the edge of a 355-foot waterfall, peering down at one of the most breathtaking and terrifying views on the planet. That's Devil's Pool, a natural infinity pool at the top of Victoria Falls, where only a thin wall of rock stands between you and a sheer drop into the roaring waters below.
At the upper edge of this mighty waterfall is a small spot where some daredevils swim. It's known as the Devil's Pool.
During the dry season, when the water level is low, thrill seekers from around the world gather here to experience the heart-stopping sensation of leaning over the edge. You'll carefully wade into the pool, feeling the current tugging at you as you edge closer to that thin rock lip. And then, there it is, a view straight down into the churning abyss as mist from the falls rises up and swirls around you. Guides are always nearby, helping visitors find safe footing and manage the rush of adrenaline as they dangle over what's been called the most dangerous pool in the world. It's an experience that's one part awe, one part pure fear, and absolutely unforgettable. If teetering over the edge of a waterfall wasn't heart-stopping enough, let's raise the stakes with a road that's earned the nickname Death Road. Welcome to Bolivia's infamous Yungas Road, where narrow paths and sheer cliffs make even the bravest wonder if they'll make it to the other side. Death Road, Bolivia. Yungas Road, better known as Death Road, is a winding, treacherous stretch of dirt and gravel that cuts through the cliffs of the Bolivian Andes. This isn't just any road, it's 43 miles of narrow, unpaved paths that hug mountainsides with drops of up to 2,000 feet straight down. With no guardrails, frequent rain, and a fog that cloaks it in eerie mist, this road has a reputation that sends shivers down even the most experienced travelers' spines. Cyclists and adventure seekers flock here for the ultimate adrenaline-fueled challenge, navigating the twists, turns, and hairpin bends that make this one of the world's most dangerous roads.
This road is considered the most dangerous in the world in terms of deaths per mileage, claiming up to 200 lives per year.
The width? Barely enough for one vehicle in places. The thrill? absolute. Riders have to maneuver around landslides, waterfalls spilling onto the road, and stretches so narrow they seem to disappear into the abyss. But for those who brave Death Road, the reward is a rush like no other, and if they're lucky, views of dense rainforest and towering peaks that stretch endlessly below. It's a battle with nature itself, and only the bold make it through with stories to tell. Guides are always nearby, helping visitors find safe footing and manage the rush of adrenaline as they dangle over what's been called the most dangerous pool in the world. It's an experience that's one part awe, one part pure fear, and absolutely unforgettable. So, you've braved one of the world's most dangerous roads, but how about trekking up to the base of the world's tallest mountain? At Mount Everest Base Camp, altitude sickness, freezing temperatures, and thin air are just the beginning. Ready to take on nature's ultimate challenge? Mount Everest Base Camp Trek, Nepal. Reaching Mount Everest's base camp is a journey that's as daunting as it is inspiring. This trek through Nepal's rugged Himalayas takes you to 17,600 feet above sea level, pushing your endurance with high altitudes, steep climbs, and temperatures that plummet below freezing. It's not just a hike, it's a battle with the elements where the reward is standing face to face with the tallest mountain on Earth. Over 12 days, you'll cross swaying suspension bridges, win through tiny villages, and follow winding trails that test your physical and mental strength. With each step, the air grows thinner, making every breath harder than the last. Altitude sickness is a constant threat, and trekkers have to acclimate carefully or risk being forced to turn back. But for those who make it, the sight of Everest's snow-capped peaks towering above is nothing short of breathtaking. There's a profound silence at base camp that makes you feel the sheer enormity of the mountain and the sense of accomplishment, absolutely unmatched. Everest Base Camp isn't just a trek, it's an experience that tests your limits and rewards you with views most people can only dream of. So you've conquered the heights and faced the mountains, but are you ready to dive into the depths of the unknown? Next up, we're heading to the Cave of Swallows in Mexico, a vertical pit that plunges so far down it's like dropping into the earth itself. Cave of Swallows, Mexico. The Cave of Swallows is a true wonder of nature, a massive sinkhole that plunges an astonishing 1,200 feet straight down into the earth.
This is the 11th deepest open shaft in the world, and definitely a magical wonders of Mexico.
Found in the lush jungles of Mexico's San Luis Potosi, this cave is so deep that you could stack the Eiffel Tower inside it, with room to spare. But for thrill seekers, the real draw is taking the plunge themselves. Base jumpers and cavers from around the world come to this massive pit, where a 10-second freefall sends them soaring through an abyss surrounded by sheer limestone walls. For those descending on ropes, it's a slow, stomach-churning drop that takes you further and further into total darkness, with nothing but the echoes of your own breath and the calls of swallows, the cave's namesake, circling overhead. Once at the bottom, the only way out is back up, an intense, muscle-burning ascent that can take hours. The Cave of Swallows isn't just a descent, it's a journey into the Earth's heart and a test of nerve and endurance. So, if you're ready to step off the edge into nothingness, this is the adventure for you. If a free fall into the Earth's depths isn't thrilling enough, let's take it underwater, into a cage surrounded by some of the ocean's most fearsome predators. Shark cage diving in South Africa is the ultimate face-to-face encounter with nature's top predator. Shark cage diving, South Africa. Imagine being lowered into the icy waters of the Atlantic, enclosed in a metal cage as the shadows of great white sharks circle around you. That's shark cage diving in South Africa, an experience that lets you come eye to eye with one of the ocean's most legendary hunters. This isn't just about watching sharks from afar. You're submerged into their world, separated only by a cage that suddenly feels all too thin. The waters off the coast of Gansbai, famously known as Shark Alley, are teeming with great whites. Once you're in the cage, the boat crew attracts these apex predators with bait, drawing them right up to the bars. As the sharks glide by, often within inches of your face, you can feel the sheer power and presence of these creatures. Their eyes meet yours, their jaws occasionally snapping at the bait, and for a split second, it's just you, the cage, and the kind of fear that you'll never forget. It's a pulse-racing experience that forces you to confront primal fear, but for thrill seekers, it's the ultimate adrenaline rush. You'll come out of the water with a new respect for these incredible animals, and maybe a story or two to tell.